Well, the Drivers' Championship may have slipped away for David Russell and Howard Racing, but they've had a great 2009. They've clinched the Privateers Cup Award for this year on the back of David Russell's round win at Adelaide, 4 individual race wins, and pole position that also came on the streets of the Clipsal 500. Getting set for race 2, another 22-lapper. Final race of the year, Andrew Jones. Nothing's up for grabs in terms of the championship. The elbows are going to come out.
Well, there is something up for grabs, and James Moffat could move into second position. We'll follow that.
It's a bit of an outside chance, but it is possible, and it helps for him that David Russell starts from 14th place. A couple of quick mentions. Jeff Emery, 6th in race 1. That was a great job, a personal best for the former Commodore Cup champion. David Cedar starting from 5th. So let's do it again. Race 2, the final one of the season. Moffat and Webb, the round win is up for grabs. Grant Denyer and Marcus Marshall on the second row of the grid. Slow away there is David Cedars. Drew Russell right along the pit wall. Riding with Ben Eggleston. Down at turn 1. Moffat, Webb, Denyer, Marshall, Jeff Emery. Aaron McGill takes to the curb. And it's very narrow on this run to turn 2.
Incredibly narrow, and that's 2 from 2 for James Moffat as far as winning the whole shot into turn 1.
Rodney Jane just filing in behind James Winslow. That's Olympic Boulevard that runs all the way back up towards turn 9.
And look at David Russell. He's got the elbows out. He's just muscled his way past Taz Douglas through the very tight chicane.
The leader's getting away. Drew Russell not afraid of going near the tyre bundle. Taz Douglas, Ben Eggleston, Walter Lowe, McGill, Ryan Hansford down the back. But Moffat and Webb, of course, fighting for the round win. And if current reports and stories are true and correct, we might just see James Moffat taking over the Jonathan Webb car for next year, which is an ex-Steve Richards FPR Falcon. Oh, drama. Hayden Pullen, the debutant, going around. This is with Ben Eggleston, the orange-based driver, looking back from his VE Commodore, the former Rick Kelly toll chassis. And Sam Walter makes a big lunge there.
Sam Walter just trying to make his way through from the back of the field after that altercation with Brad Lowe in race 1.
And Sam's having his final run in the Fujitsu series. Has been a regular for the last couple of years for Greg Murphy Racing. The team is going to take over some VE Commodores that have been run by its sister Sprint Gas Racing operation, which of course closes down at the end of this weekend in the main championship series. And as was the case in race 1, Moffat and Webb are the form drivers. And I mentioned about Moffat's Fujitsu plans for next year, but we're also hearing that he may well be part of Ford Performance Racing's endurance plans for Phillip Island and Bathurst next year. So Moffat, factory Ford, Bathurst. I think I've heard that one somewhere, somehow before. His father, Alan, of course, 4-time Bathurst victor in the 70s.
Over the bumps into turn 9, James has just locked that right front tyre. That all happened due to the modulating of the brake pedal that we've spoken about all weekend down at the roller coaster.
You'd think we're at the showground, really, wouldn't you?
We are.
Yeah, we are, really, aren't we? Sydney Olympic Park, there's all sorts of things going on this weekend. Colin Corkery here, the Supercharged Batteries Commodore, his first start since the Queensland Raceway round. There's David Cedars, the Careflight Falcon. A different livery for this weekend, of course. He drove as a wildcard entry at the Enduros, but Moffat, the race leader, is under the gun from the Gulf Western Falcon.
And Webby looks hungry now. He's wrapped up his title, and I reckon he wants to win this race. My money would be on Jonathan Webb putting everything on the line to try and get past James Moffat.
It would really put the full stop on a season that really started slowly. Personally, I expected him to be the man to beat this year, and it started really slowly in Adelaide. It was a bit of a last-minute deal between Jonathan and Matthew White, but it's really gelled very nicely in the middle part of the year.
And the philosophy of the FPR Falcon is a lot different to, say, that 888 one of James Moffat. It is a bit of a different beast to drive, doesn't roll a lot, and it's obviously just taken Jonathan a little while to get his head around it, but gee, he has now. He's got plenty of pace.
There's David Russell, the Sharon Rentals Falcon. He needs to really get to the top 5 to have any chance of hanging on to second in the Drivers' Championship.
Geez, wouldn't that be a tough card to swallow if you lost the actual championship outright and possibly second in the championship as well?
And he's been in the top 2 all season. And we mentioned about these two cars being very different in their engineering philosophies. They're both Ford Falcons. But in the case of Webb's car, the XFPR machine, something unique to those cars, they don't run with adjustable anti-roll bar control. So the driver really doesn't have that opportunity.
No, very different. And I can elaborate on that a little bit. Jonathan Webb's car, very stiffly sprung. James Moffat's car, very softly sprung. So they're at both opposite ends of the scale. So very, very different. It's interesting to see the strengths and weaknesses as we're looking out the back of James Moffat's Falcon.
And Webb is all over the back of him now. The exit of the chicane, down Edwin Flack Avenue, towards the sweeper at turn 5. Brad Lowe serving a pit lane penalty for jumping the start. Speaking of jumping, turn 6 and 7 has given us plenty of highlights this weekend.
Provided fantastic images through there. I love seeing the cars. Some of them up on one wheel, Aaron. Unbelievable.
Saves on the other 3. Cost effective.
Helps with tyre life, that's for sure.
Riding with Ben Eggleston, looking at Walter and Corkery.
This looks like a really busy pack.
Oh, I don't like the look of that. That was tight. Sam backed out of it. That was the right move.
Whenever we see 3 cars like this bunched up, headlights on, something's got to give.
Colin Corkery knows all about hand-to-hand combat, former V8 Ute driver. Riding with Ben Eggleston. Stepped up this year to this newer model VE Commodore. Has had some of the best finishes in his Fujitsu career this year. But just before, that was a close call. Walter backing out at the last moment in race 2. More when we come back. This charge from David Russell at Sydney Olympic Park continues. He has been picking them off one by one. James Winslow, the sip and save Commodore, and then a move on Drew Russell, no relation, as he continues this fight to the front. Grant Denya's been really cutting it fine, but there's been a change for the lead. Jonathan Webb at turn 1, getting the move done on James Moffat. David Russell closing in on Jeff Emery, who sits in 5th spot. Great weekend for Jeff Emery and the Tag Motorsport crew. They cooked the clutch on the line in race 1. Yellow flag at turn 9, so
David won't be able to make the move down there.
And that's why Garth Walden pops out from in the escape road in one of the 2 J Motorsport Commodores, and Russell's got the run here. This is for 5th spot. Oh, Emery's going to fight it though, because he's on the inside for the next one at 12. The over and under moves on.
David manages to get up the inside of Jeff Emery. Took 3 corners to get the job done, but he finally got there.
And what it does, it puts him into 5th spot, but the thing is, he needs to get to 4th, with James Moffat now in 2nd for Russell to be runner-up in the championship. Let's look again on the replay, and this is what this last sequence of corners really promotes.
And David was really late on the brakes there. We saw his car squirming in the rear. The rear was just on the edge of locking, and then he's done the old over and under trick, got up the inside of Jeff, and now he's on to try and get by Marcus Marshall.
Right in behind Marcus Marshall, who of course at the start of the year was driving for Team Inter Racing, which folded midway through the championship series. Marcus is working on a deal for 2010 to get back into the main game, but Denya runs in 3rd, Marshall 4th, Russell 5th. They're putting a lap on Garth Walden. Marshall just made a small mistake there, and David Russell trying to get the overlap for the run to the chicane.
Yeah, that really hurt Marcus's exit of turn 1. But David wasn't able to get up the inside. There you go. Just goes to show Marcus is showing a little bit of experience coming into play there, really late on the break. We've seen how good David Russell is, so you can imagine how late Marcus was for David not to be able to get up the inside.
A little bit of traffic to contend with, and Marshall will want to clear Garth Walden. Another yellow flag. So this is not a passing zone either. They get the green in the background. Plenty of debris lying around on the road as well. And Russell gets the rear stepping out at turn 8. And that was really close to throwing it into the concrete. The Privateer's cup might have been dented.
Lucky he's got it wrapped up because he nearly lost it there.
Jeff Emery next through. Drew Russell next on the scene. Look at the rears. Just gave Marshall a touch.
Australian Drift Championship style there. The rear was trying to overtake the front. Very good driving, though, to keep that under control.
I know there's a lot of events going on at Sydney Olympic Park this weekend, but I didn't know drifting was one of them.
Maybe David felt they should have had it on the cards.
Oh, maybe next year. You never know. There's Grant Denyer. He's got away from these two who've been getting stuck into one another. The final lap of the Fujitsu series, and Jonathan Webb has driven away from James Moffat in this final race. It would be the perfect way to finish his 3rd season in the Fujitsu series. He's wrapped up the championship. He's done it all. He's won races, he's won rounds, he's taken poles and kept a straight car.
And to think that halfway through this championship series this year, Jonathan Webb had not won a race. Now he's going to go on to win the 6th one of the year.
The final run down Dawn Fraser Avenue. James Moffat in 2nd. Yellow flags everywhere because James Winslow's car has expired, and although Webb and Moffat will be tied with a 1st and a 2nd from the 2 races, Webb will win the round by virtue of this race win in race 2.
He's put a fair gap between himself and James Moffat over the last few laps. He's just put his head down. Like he said, he wanted to get some real good experience going for the main series.
Next year he's in the Champ Series, but today Jonathan Webb is the champion, and he seals it in absolute style. Race and round win. Moffat in 2nd. A great year for the 2nd generation driver. And Grant Denyer, 3rd in the race, 3rd for the weekend. So 5 podium finishes for Grant, and he seals 4th in the championship. David Russell makes it home in 5th.
And it's amazing to think that at the end of 12 months of racing, it's all come down to one position that he's missed out.
Oh, it wasn't for a lack of trying either.
He's trying, he's having a red hot go towards the end.
He only needed one more place and he would have finished 2nd in the championship. That's a real shame, but nevertheless, he should be really happy with a great year. Marcus Marshall in 4th, Jeff Emery 6th in the race, 5th for the round. Damien Assaylet rounds out the top 10, but today it's all about Jonathan Webb.
Jonathan, what a way to wrap up the 2009 championship with another win here on the streets of Sydney.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It hasn't been an easy weekend. There's certainly the boys have been putting it to us all weekend, and didn't quite get past James yesterday, so finished up 2nd there. But today we knew we had the car speed and we wanted to push on and finish the year with a win, and that's what we did.
James, a good round for you, not the top step of the podium, but still a fantastic result.
Well, I think equal points for the round with Webby, but we lose it on countback because he won the last race, which is fair enough. But really a great year all round for Norton 360 and everybody else that's helped me out. So, yeah, nice to finish the year on the podium.
Well, it's your rookie year and you've already claimed pole position, a race win, a round win. What's next? What's 2010 hold for James Moffat?
Oh, well, I think the boys told me on the radio on the in-lap that we secured 2nd in the championship, so naturally there's probably only one more spot to go. So hopefully next year we can have a crack at that.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Grant Denyer, what a weekend and what a year for you.
It's been unreal. People said I was crazy to come back and go motor racing after a close call like I had September last year. And barring 2 mistakes, I almost had a podium every single round. So it's been the greatest racing year of my life, and I'm so proud of the things that I've managed to achieve in the porky pig kind of state that I'm in. I'm a little bit fat at the moment. I can't quite exercise, and to drag that kind of result out of the car around here was bloody sensational.
And so too was finishing on the podium. Marcus Marshall, a solid weekend. Jeff Emery, David Cedars and Drew Russell with wonderful jobs. 5th, 6th and 7th for the round. Colin Corkery and Ryan Hansford rounding out the top 10. But for Jonathan Webb, MW Motorsport and Golf Western, they have been the combination to beat in in the 2009 championship. 3 years in the Fujitsu series, and finally Webb gets the biggest trophy of them all. Moffat squeezes home to second by 5 points. Daniel Gaunt and Brad Lowe did a good job in his rookie year. Jeff Emery rounding out the top 10 at the end of round 7. So after 7 rounds, 18 races, 281 laps and 970 kilometres of racing, Jonathan Webb is the new Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series champion. He'll be in the main championship series next year, and there's a full field of drivers who are lined up and ready to go for the first round of 2010 at the Clipsal 500 in Adelaide. We hope you've enjoyed all the action throughout season 2009. We'll see you next year.